Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. My name's Eva and I want to thank you for joining me here. Before we get started, I just wanted to call attention to all of the links that are below in the description box. Those are all of the different ways that we can work together. We are moving into sort of monsoon season here in northern New Mexico, and my wind chime has been going crazy, but I think that obviously, if you've seen this channel before, this is a universe of sound and light, and sound wave movement is such a powerful way to move. It is movement itself, and when we sort of consciously allow that movement to break up stuck patterns, it really makes way for a lot of the new things. So I'm taking that as a sign. This is the first video in a series that sort of started to come through a couple nights ago as an idea. And to start, I have an outline for 4 videos, but I think we'll continue to add as it sort of develops. This is something that's really relevant to my life, where I'm at right now, and probably yours too if you found this video. I think it's relevant to sort of everyone. Everyone is trying to reconnect to real abundance, unified abundance. And this idea always sort of comes back to beingness, right? This giving and receiving is one. We're not receiving something that we don't already have. And this is where our conceptual belief system needs to sort of be adjusted and reorchestrated. So the name of this video series is Release and Receive. In this first video, we're going to focus on clearing the belief, revealing and clearing the belief, I must earn or prove my worth through doing. So ideas around this will be value measured by output, achievement, or your visible work. Your inherent value, not feeling inherent value unless you are producing. So this can manifest as overworking, over-editing your work, perfectionism, the feeling that you're not enough unless you're producing something tangible, that your beingness, your resting, your just presence of being alive is not worth anything unless it's something that you can show, something that you can offer or sell, something that you can have physical evidence of to prove to others that it exists. Worth tied to doing creates tension. It does not provide for allowance of recognition of being in awareness of what we already are eternally, and working to reveal unconsciously this belief again in this that we're sort of running on autopilot of having to prove before we receive. This blocks the effortless flow, not just of money, but of experiences, of our own happiness, of the feeling that we have the right to do things. This is also really coming through as feeling like you don't have a right to enjoy things unless you work for it, or that you don't have a right to own things or have things or go places or be in certain relationships unless you do all of this work first, and that you can show for it. This is really coming to call as, the structures and the paradigms of the false world continue to really, 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 really heighten and then collapse. They are constantly collapsing through the, people's recognition that they are even there. That brings an awareness to them. And that's both inward in our own patterns of our own unconscious, bringing the unconscious to the conscious to rework them, and in the larger global and solar and galactic and universal environments we find ourselves in. So if that resonates with you, all of that description to say this is a healing for the receiving energy, this is healing for abundance, this is a healing for clearing capitalism, clearing false financial nonsense from the system, so that we can not only equate abundance with money, but that we can equate abundance with just the beingness that we are in the field, the fullness of the field, the fullness of enjoyment of of not waiting, of clearing the energy of waiting, of enjoying now, of being creative now, and like immediately experiencing the benefit of that and not waiting for it to show up tangibly in order for it to be legitimate or relevant or important or useful. This feels highly charged. It feels a lot in the heart too, but remember, it's going to clear from everywhere. So best not to focus too much on the outward manifestation and focus on the reorchestration of the belief and allow that to then, flow out into the physicality. So taking nice deep breaths, bringing ourselves into the presence of our eternal awareness, knowing we are safe, knowing we are already healed, we are already free, we are already whole. Our holiness, our safety, our sinlessness, our guiltlessness, our eternity, our happiness, our abundance are guaranteed by God, guaranteed by Source, guaranteed by Creator, of which we are one. And we intend to know ourselves in that one light of the truth now. And we offer that freedom through our sight of all living beings. Hini mayo nuyun chani, kianaya suna titayo sun, shiasin sikiom natranin, siosion shaya kinamara. It's almost like preparing the field. We're calling in support systems from all over. It's really coming through as so you do not see yourself as alone. You don't see yourself as separate from anything, and so you are not separate from the abundance that is already of you. Remembering that you are the entire field. Nothing that we perceive is outside of ourselves. Everything we perceive is springing forth from us through our choice. And so when we put ourselves back in that driver's seat of consciousness, we automatically reorient our relationship to the field. And so this will also come with like deep trauma release, because often it's those traumatic memories and those defenses that cause us to withhold from ourselves and withhold in our experience and actually withdraw from or hide ourselves from what we are wanting to see reflect. So we want to call that up now, call that up in safety, knowing you are very safe to look, you are very safe to recognize, and you are very safe to choose to let go of it and to allow it to be dissolved from you. Hiniyamaya nuyon sotai, yoto konoyin shinikina yonoto amaya niyarato, yoyokuni tiana oso, hietaworo kanamnasi. Sia shaya kiyasaya taina. Yanaya sunjiri taya kina tanam natuso. Shaya kiya yanayana kunuyun sonatini shinikin datosum zanandraisi. Sinchiritis nandratis nakayan. Yatatuso. Yanagini kinatis. And always with this work we are working on layers of identity and worth. Shoyokoni paruin sini shini. We claim our identity as one, as a being of God, as a child of God. Hini kanayan zotis, and this always also reorchestrates the belief in what God is, what Source, Creator, whatever word you use, what that eternal beingness means for you. Because this does it doesn't block from us. We are never blocked. We choose not to see things, and that is the block. And so when you're working from an idea or a belief that God is vengeful, God takes away from you, God abandons, God keeps things from you, God punishes you, because it is only the being of God where our true abundance lies and our true abundance comes from and is eternally given, if you keep yourself from God, then you will not see or experience the truth of your abundance, of what that really means, which is shared. Abundance has to be one. It has to be for everyone for it to be truly abundance. And so this is where we sort of detach the strict definition of abundance equaling only finances, only money, right? Because while we can share that, and while it's not evil to have it, it's just an idea. It's just a neutral thing, like everything else, of which meaning we have given it entirely from ourselves, is not the limit of what abundance is, right? So we are talking about a full field of experience of abundance. And this is resource in food and energy and housing and happiness and overflow in all ways, for everyone, for all living beings. This must be unified. Kiamaya shono koni sensatio to koni pani shini kini kina. Shona koni ma rohina sinzi kini kianis. And this, is really an example of what multidimensional healing is, right? That we can at one time look at this from all levels. Yana yonto sumsa tuso kono inshi. Sayoto yumnaya kinayanayara woro kanamna sandi tayaya kuyumdisi. And it's rest is very important. Accepting your value when you aren't doing anything, or you think you're not doing anything, right? Your mind is always working. Your mind is always either producing in fear or creating in love. It's miscreating in separation, or it's creating in unified field force, unified presence. You are sleeping, you are unaware of yourself, or you are awake in one, in love. So that's always happening. So when you choose to place your awareness, and this is a practice, this is a constant mindfulness practice, that when you place your awareness in love, yourself as a being of love, when you are not doing anything. And sometimes we get really confused when our physical lives slow down so much and we don't see things happening outwardly. We might find ourselves, we might find our bodies alone. We might find that there are less social happenings, less events that we attend. Our jobs change. Our circles, our friendship circles change. Our locations change. Things get very quiet. And I really feel like that's a call from our inner being to recognize the self as worthy, as unique, as beautiful, as something to be celebrated and praised and in praise and enjoyment of, without the outside part, right? So we have to get that current of vibration right within ourselves, that we can really accept ourselves as worthy beings just inherently, without any outside thing. And that is the theme of this first video. Kiniansian sho yasima kina yotome isa yoto rukina isi. Kinimana yono inshiri. Hiyo kuni pati son jiri tisna kina noto. Sion soni pishini kor kumisanaya naya sitioso. Shini sanaya tu kiyam siti shini sansatas natra. Kirani toyum no koro. His tasun chokonomi sian sani shini kindaya natusum saka. Hiana kiana ya yiniam dayas ni tayani toyotoa. And it's like, it's about really catching ourselves when we get disappointed, or we look for the validation outside, or we judge ourselves when we don't see it immediately reflected physically. Because physicality is changing, and especially if you're watching this video, really being called at this time. Everyone is equally called, but if you have answered and you have said yes at some level, then I think Spirit's really calling you, as it's calling me, into accepting that you are not made for the old world. You are here at this time on earth to accept your role as a being who is choosing to expand into a more unified physicality, a more unified experience. And you cannot cling to further densified, more dense, more separate, more discrete forms of abundance in an old dying world and also bring the new, right? So it's about letting go of those ideas, which doesn't mean that you will not experience physical abundance. It's going to be different because part of what we bring here when we resonate with this work and when we do work in this way is to collapse the old, right? The codes, the orchestrations, the healing manifestations, they dismantle the old. If they're dismantling it from inside of you, they will have to dismantle it from inside, from the inside of everything. So what's reflecting back to you in the physical world. And so that'll look like financial collapse. That will look like systems collapse. It will look like global banking collapse. It will look like complete reorchestration and burning down of old structures that are based in fear, manipulation, control, violence, and slavery, etc., 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 right? And so we have to be accepting of that role in order for it to truly manifest in our lives on earth in this incarnation in the way that it's really meant to. Because if you've said yes to this calling, your inner being, higher self, the self that knows the work with spirit, will not let what is not in resonance with you to settle into your life. So if you are clinging to ideas of what you think is in resonance because it is what you were taught it means to be successful or abundant, then you're the one that's not allowing it to really show up in all of the different ways that it could. And we're not even going to list them because they're infinite, and we're not going to limit the field in that way. But I know that for us in these bodies is not easy. And that's why it's a practice. And that's why we walk together. And that's why we constantly remind ourselves of this. We have to constantly remind ourselves of it. Because it's so easy in this form, with all of the alterations we've made between how we were created in God and where we find ourselves now, which is all in illusion, which is all in dream. You know, it's the great undoing of all of that. And that takes constant, conscious effort, as I have experienced it. Because the world is very distracting, and we believe so much in our illusions. So constantly remind yourself, and try very hard not to think about it in terms of better or worse. It's more unified. It's closer to reality. It doesn't make you better than anyone. It doesn't make you, it's not even helpful to think of it's more enlightened than anyone else. Don't pay attention to what other people's egos are choosing, right? It's really about where our attention lies. So we really want to put our attention into our enjoyment. Be mindful of how you're spending your money. Don't go crazy, but challenge what it means to live within your means in terms of limiting yourself. I'm not trying to give financial advice at all, but in terms of the way you think of yourself and what it's possible for you to do and achieve, because it's not just about dollar signs. Those things could be delivered in your life. You create them in your life in an infinite number of ways. The most of what I'm saying is don't see yourself in your identity in littleness, in separated, discrete forms or particular ways of things having to come to you that you have to work really hard and do in order to receive. That's the point, right? That's the point of this. So just let that field open from within you. Don't be afraid. Don't be in fearful anticipation or doomsday anticipation or condemn yourself to a result that is the opposite of what you're trying to expand into by projecting the past onto the future. Be in the now of the now moment is the closest we can get to reality. And when we are there and we feel like we are not cared for and we are not provisioned and we're like floating off and there's no one who's going to come and help us and there's no help and there's no safety, understand that that is a call for you to reestablish your relationship with the divine because you believe that God has abandoned you when it is us who has turned away from our true nature in the reality of one, not the other way around. That's the original lie of the ego. Because if you're allowing yourself to be in the beingness of what you are, you will find miracles, because miracles are your birthright. You are here for miracles. You are here to make miracles, every single person. You got to accept that in yourself. You are worthy of that right now. You are capable of that right now. There's nothing you have to do except pay attention to where the miracle actually is, which is in love. And you allow that to manifest from you when you accept yourself as love, when you accept yourself as a miracle worker. But it won't come through while you're paying attention to a false idea of yourself in fear. So this is a reorientation of identity. And we do it at the deepest levels. Kimeyantima oro ini kini shini nasnundo kamaya kini sinzani kiani kia. Siya yashaya kuyunokor konoyen data kini sonzondi kanaya nishiri taya nahina kuarukoni. Kaya somsaki kaya. Shini sansani toyom nakiniti sindihi. Hianaya noya kono konindi sansani shini yoptia yaya koya yoptia kaya. Hiayopi yoyo yopi nam no. Yami yoyo no komon jini kindaya koyoni. Imaya nion so kunshanaya sayaki. Hinataya tina toyotoka. Shoa son so konoin chinikina in sitisi. Shitisi kintao rokonoyum natitan shanandas natratinkanda dayaisi. Shitisi on so korehinam natro rais nean so yoshinitium sondoyat. Himandoro ritusum shisin zani tayaneitas. Hianiam nakom shinitisum so yunjiriti kin dato son jinta tayanasanadraya. Koyo konoinium doyani shini and sanandraisio sokinandisium shokoroini semsatra korkitas natrain santashitisi kiatayanatis. This is focusing on what is real and what is delusion. When we are afraid, it is because we believe in something that is not real. And so when you find yourself in lack belief, when you find yourself in fearful anticipation, when you find yourself condemning your future, when you find yourself in scarcity, in insecurity, in doubt, remind yourself that is because you are paying attention to and believing something that is a false projection, that is an illusion. And then ask Spirit to help you reorient what you're paying attention to, because it will. It never says no. Wait in joyful anticipation for the reunion with Spirit, which doesn't take long when you practice, I promise. And I hope, my intention is that these videos help you do that, make it much, much easier, and that they dissolve time for you. They dissolve your backlog of time, all of the adjustments. It's the great undoing of the adjustments that we've made to ourselves in unity. And the financial system is such a part of that distortion, because it's tied into so many different things, and base security and just separation from the union of life, and putting our value outside of self, because that's what money is, right? And that's a distortion. But you have to get past your anger at it into neutrality, because then that's when you can use it as a neutral tool, where you haven't put your value in the representation of whatever that piece of paper is, but you just see everything as a reflection of the oneness. And you are knowing in yourself, you are certain that what you need will be there for you because it is already, it is already there. It's already, your creations are eternal. This is the practice to continue to remind yourself of that, so that when you move into fear, it's easy to move yourself out of it. So I hope that these videos are helpful to you. We'll say amen here. Just bringing yourself back into this moment of self, into your body, into where you are in the world, into your day. But as always, I really think it's helpful to use these videos as a sort of entry point into further meditation or your own field work. Allow them to help you remember, allow them to help you awaken, and then allow spirit to do what it does. Only God heals. Universe, create. I think that the universe is just one small part of everything, but source, creator. I don't mean to project that you have to use the word God, because that's a thing we made up. Okay, thank you all so much for being with me here today, and there'll be at least 3 more videos in this series, so stay tuned for that. Let me know how this lands for you. Let me know if anything comes through that you feel like sharing. Thank you to everyone who tuned into last night's live. We've got regular live streams on Tuesday nights and Saturday, sort of mid-morning my time, 11 a.m. Mountain. That's focused on the sacral center. Lots going on. Lots of trance meditations, trance healings on my website for financial freedom, for abundance reunion, for a lot of these ideas. So you can check those out on my website. There's a subscription offering for the trance meditations, which also comes with a monthly group call, so more of a community space to sort of ground the work in together. Lots of stuff going on, so you could check all that out below. You can become a member of the channel. Lots of stuff. So thank you all. Thanks everyone for your support, and everyone who likes and subscribes and shares, and it really does mean a lot. It does a lot for the channel. I know it can be annoying to sit and listen to people over and over say like and subscribe and share, but I think that's actually how the algorithm works. But I also think the algorithm works in ways that they would never tell us. So thank you everyone, and I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.